Hey guys, I'm Codstre, also known as Cody. So today we're going to be checking out Neverwinter Nights, the enhanced edition for the PC. This has become one of my favorite games. I'm a big Dungeons and Dragons fanatic, and this is based on the third edition rule set, which is my favorite. I know a lot of people like fifth edition, but I figured, hey, why not check this out? I absolutely love it for a lot of different reasons. The main thing is you get to customize your character however you want. I do like the campaigns, but today we're going to just be checking out the multiplayer. And I do actually play on one server. It is one of my favorites. It's called Blackstone Keep. I did try out World of Greyhawk, which is more of a um, server based more around party play, where Blackstone Keep is both solo and party play. So I'm just going to check this out. I'm going to make a new character. I do have two already. So I'm just going to go new character, and I'm just going to go through this real fast. Of course, male and female characters, there's no limitations on that. I'm just going to make a male character. I haven't played anything other than humans, so I think this time I'm actually going to play as an elf, just because I think that that's going to be a lot more fun. And elves actually do get keen senses. They make active search checks automatically with no movement penalty, and it just makes it a lot easier to find a lot of things. And then the low light vision, because if you're playing as a human, you have no sort of dark vision or anything like that, so it actually makes the game a lot darker. Well, you know what, we're just going to go human so I can actually show you some of that cool stuff. So I normally just choose, you know, this, because none of these really look like any of the characters that I end up making, but it'll be fine. The recommendation, of course, is going to be fighter, just because there's a lot of bonuses for being a fighter, and having it as your first character makes it a little bit easier to run through the game. Recommendations are always important to check out on a lot of the different server types. I recommend fighter. If it's your first time through, I would recommend fighter, just because you don't have to worry about having a ranged weapon. You do decent damage. You have a high chance of actually hitting your opponents, same as a paladin. Paladin was the first class that I ever played on here, but I think that fighter is actually going to be a lot better for a lot of newer people. Alignment, I always recommend, if you're not playing as anything that requires the alignment, like the paladin, which has to be lawful good, always go chaotic good. It just makes a lot of things easier, even though a lot of these persistent worlds that we're going to be playing on are don't really have a lot of anything that requires those things. It just makes it easier. And of course, with your skill points, if you know how to build a character, definitely go ahead and do that however you want to make them. I just do the recommendations though. The only downside is you do have some that have a -1 penalty because you don't have 10. So I normally go through and see what I could lower to try and get that to 10. But as a warrior or a fighter, you don't really need to have high charisma. So we're just going to go through that. Packages, this is where you can specifically choose how you want your character basically to end up being at the end. The recommendations is the default fighter. I would just recommend going with that because it gives you everything that you're going to need. And then customizations, this is where you're going to be able to customize your character. If you want to turn your character while you're actually in this, if you've never played it before, you use the arrow keys to turn left and right. Up, down doesn't do anything. It's just left and right. You can't click and turn, which is kind of an annoyance. A lot of people won't really like that, but it'll be fine either way. I'm just going to make him look like that bad boy right there. You can change your skin color if you wanted. I mean, you could basically choose anything. It's awesome. Same with the hair color. You can choose a whole lot of fancy different colors. I absolutely love it. And then if you do end up giving your character a tattoo, you can actually change the colors here as well. So I'm just going to go with the basic clothing. And then you can choose your name over here, your character's age, and then what you want them to sound like. So that's actually one of my other favorite things about this, because you can choose exactly how you want your character to be. So
By my direction, attack! Rip you to shreds! Get on them! Attack! The battle is on!
I think I like that one. That one's pretty good. So we're just going to go over here, and we're just going to name this guy Arthuric, because that is one of my fighters' names in every game that I play. And you don't have to have a last name. That's another really cool thing. You don't have to do that. If you don't know what name you want, you can also generate a name, and you can even go through and type in the name of a deity if you want. It doesn't really require it. Some of the role-playing servers do, though, so keep that in mind. So we're just going to hit play, and I'm just going to go through this first part right here real fast. Basically, on this persistent world, you have to choose a deity. You can get up to level 40 on this one, which is pretty cool. Let's see. And it goes through all the features of the server. If you guys want to play on this, I would definitely just go through and check it out. Low XP mode, I want to level slower, give me lower XP from quests and monsters. It's about the journey, not the destination. So that's actually one of the really cool things. It And it also lowers your penalties from dying, which is pretty cool. Instead of it being, I want to say it's like a 10% chance or higher, it's only 3% if you do go this optional route. And then they even do have permadeath on this persistent world, which is really cool. I'm just going to pick a deity. I'm going to choose the Overgod, which is Eon, because whenever you pray, you can get additional experience, bonus items, healing, stuff like that, and your alignment won't shift. So I'm ready to pick one. Eon is the one I always go with. Continue, continue, continue. Oh my lord. And then if you want to select a subrace, you can. So you can say yes, and then you can actually go through and choose one of these. So I want to say, yep, some of them do require your deity will be set to a different character, but you can go through and read all of these. I want to say that the one that I chose was a Celestial. Yep, Celestial. Must be of good alignment, so it doesn't matter if you're lawful or chaotic, you can choose that. So I'm going to just say Celestial, and then I can cycle wings if I want my wings on or off. So you can have wings, or you can turn it off and not have wings. You can also change this later. I just don't want anything like that right now. So here's the other cool thing is because this is based on D&D, you actually do have skills that are utilized in the same way as you would be in the pen and paper game. You also do have your feats. The main thing with this game is because it is older, it uses a lot of different systems. So you do have to click to move. You can use W, A, S, and D as well if you'd like to. But I found that if I do use WASD, it just isn't the same because the camera really doesn't follow your character. Even if you set it to follow your character, it really doesn't. So I normally hold down the middle mouse button is what you use to turn left and right. So basically I just turn as I move my character with the clicking on the ground. We'll talk to the Dockmaster first, and this is actually what you gotta do. You have to wait until nobody else is talking to him. Since this person is another player, he is going to be talking to the Dockmaster, and once he's done, then I can talk to him. So whenever I talk to him, hello, and then you can go through a lot of these things. The other cool thing is I want to modify my character's appearance. So if you turn the wings off, if you decide to be like a Celestial or a Demon, and you want to put it back on, you go to this option and you can actually add them back to your character, which is pretty cool. So basically with Blackstone Keep, this is a persistent world that is very action-based instead of role-playing based, so you don't have to stay in character, but of course you still can roleplay in any of the servers. It's just you have to really find the community for it, unless you play on one that is a role-playing server where it's required. So he's just going to tell me where to go. No, that is all. And then if you press J, it opens up your journal, and this is where basically you're going to find all of your quests. And the main thing with any persistent world that you play on that is going to be very, very fun is the journal. The reason I like Blackstone Keep so much is because it actually gives you the CR where some of the persistent worlds I played on don't. So you'll actually be able to see how difficult something is going to be. So search the lands of Blackstone for the shrines. The word for the first shrine is lie. So with this persistent world, there's actually different shrines you go to for this quest. It's kind of like your main starting quest line. I don't know if it actually persists through the entirety of it because I haven't gotten a whole completely through it. I think my max level character right now is like 14, and there's 40 levels for you to level through. So that's actually one of those things that I'm not entirely sure of, but for this quest line, whenever you get to where you have to, you type in lie into the chat bar, and it actually opens up the dungeon entrance, and then you go into the dungeon. It's really cool. I absolutely love how they set that up. But we're going to go to the Warden of the Keep, and he's loaded in the Blackstone State Building. So if you press your M for your map, it actually is really interesting because you have the little dots all over your map, and if you mouse over them, they tell you where you're going. So this is the Blackstone State Building, so this is where I have to go to get my first quest as it states in my journal, okay? So whenever we go into this bad boy right here, we're just gonna run on in here, and then we have to talk to the Warden right here. So it says talk to the Warden. So we're gonna talk to him, and I'm gonna close the journal so that I get the entirety of the text box, because it kind of cuts it off if it's on the right side for some reason, and I don't know why. I'm interested. Tell me more. Group of kobolds have settled in a cave east of the hamlet. From there, they harass travelers from time to time. This simply will not do. I need someone to eradicate this infestation. I think I can do that. And then once you clear the cave, you come back and talk to them. Okay, so I is for your inventory, and it's really cool because you actually have a whole lot of different tabs. There's 6 tabs for your inventory. I normally go through and just kind of organize my inventory. It's a little difficult sometimes to get everything how you want it, but you can click through and put items in different bags and go from there. It's pretty... Oh my lord. If I can set it up right, there we go. Then I do have studded leather armor, and I have a woodsman outfit. I don't need the woodsman outfit. I have a torch, and then I have a short sword, and then I have potions, and I have a few other things. So this is a prayer ring. Basically, this allows you to pray to your deity. That's the one that I chose at the very beginning, Aeon or Eon. I don't remember exactly what his name is. Then you do have a few other things like this holy coin. So if you get stuck in a wall or next to water and you can't move your character, you'll activate this, and then it'll basically just move you out or move you to wherever you have basically your area set to, depending on what persistent world you're in. Then you also have a dice bag, which allows you to roll dice. I think it allows you to roll... I think it's all basically... Yeah, so it'll allow you to roll it from a D4 to a D20, and you can roll different checks and everything. So this is basically how you can just verify that your abilities are how you want them set, or if you were trying to make sure that, you know, how everything is rolled and what the max and minimums are and everything. It's really interesting. But let me see, is there anything else in here? So then you have these potions of cure light wounds. They don't have to be stacked. I like to have them stacked just because, you know, it's easier. They also, your quick bars are also set up so that you have certain things on them. I like to just go through and reorganize them. I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time here. I'm just going to put that there and then throw my potions at the very end so that when I'm in combat, I don't have to have my inventory open to use them. Then we're just going to go back through. And basically, we now have a new quest, which is to just go and eradicate these kobolds that are attacking people who are out and about. But there are a few things that I actually want to go through in here before we do that. So the thing here, you can see right here, there's a little bit of a checkerboard kind of pattern. So this is actually a waypoint system. So these waygates allow you to teleport to other ones that you found in the world. So since I only have this one, because this one's automatically given to you, you actually don't have to come here, but it does say waypoint recorded anytime you go to one. So I could jump to Blackstone Keep, which would just literally bring me here. And it says that you're already at this location. There's also a player storage, which is right here. And if you look at the map, player storage chest next to the Emporium and next to the Market Square, which is this area right here. This is the pawn shop. Yep, Vogon's pawn shop. And then the next one is Foxmore's Tower, which is where we're going to be running to next. So the important thing to remember is that this is an old school game, and it is a very close take on 3rd edition. So there's a lot of things you have to understand. In 3rd edition and, you know, 2nd edition, I don't know about 1st edition, but 2nd edition and 3rd edition, you really had a high focus on identifying your items. Harvey here, if you talk to him, you can actually say, please identify all my items. And if you have anything that he can identify, if you have anything that's unidentified in your inventory, it costs 500 gold per item to identify, but he's who you're going to have to talk to. The big thing is, as soon as you find a item that is unidentified, and you only have 1,000 gold, you can only identify 2 items. And if you have more than 2 items, you can't identify them unless you have enough gold. Like, it won't even identify one item if you only have 500 gold. You can only identify all or none. So I would be very careful with that. Talk to Foxmore here. Well met. I failed a charisma check. Okay. This bad boy right here is actually part of your basic one, the first shrine. And if you open your inventory and you go through and read your letter, hold down right click and hit examine. This is actually going to explain everything that you need to know about the first thing, and then whenever you're done with that, it says seek out Foxmore. This is Foxmore. So him and Harvey are in the same building. So basically we have to go and eradicate the kobolds before we do anything else, but that's fine. But for now, what we're going to do is we're actually going to go to the Playful Maiden, which is a tavern. And if we open up our map again, the Playful Maiden is to the south, and this is actually where you're going to want to go to get a few pieces of starting items. This is very important because a lot of the content in the game is soloable. There are, of course, higher end things like raids and stuff like that, but I don't know if you have to be level 40 to get in those, or if you can do them at a lower level. But they are also party. There are a lot of party content as well, like dungeons and things like that, that you can't enter after you exceed the level that is the maximum for that dungeon, so you can't go back and just run through it. But as soon as you get in, you'll talk to Cardigan right here. I need some supplies, and he has everything. So the big thing is if you mouse over something and it's red, you can't use it for one of two reasons. You're not high enough level, or there's a requirement that you do not meet. So if you examine it, it'll normally tell you. So with this one, only usable by monk. The very bottom, that's what that one is. Let's go the Gloves of Fury. So that's only by monk. How about the Boots of Jax? So this requires level 13. So it should have it right under like the base and the weight requirements. It'll tell you the level requirements and then go into the special properties, but some actually have it at the very bottom. And there's a lot of different things in the game. You know, you have your shields, you have your armor, as well as you do have additional weapons as well, and different types of ammo depending on what weapon you have and you're using. So for a fighter, I probably would want to get a shield at some point, but let's see if there's a decent price shield. Wow, a lot of these shields are a little expensive. So this small shield gives me a +1 AC, which, I mean, not a big deal, but you have to remember that I'm a human, so torches are going to be my friend starting out, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm just going to see if I can sell this to this guy. So he'll buy it for a gold. There we go. Whenever you get damaged in combat, if you don't want to use your potions and there's no enemies around, you can use the rest button, which is up here to the right underneath your character's portrait and your health bar. That red bar is your health bar. So you'll click rest, your character will rest, and there is a time limit in between all of these. So the big thing that you have to remember is that whenever you're done resting, you can't rest again for, I want to say it's 4 to 6 hours in game, which is about, I want to say like 5 or 10 minutes, something like that. So be careful when you use that. Make sure you always have potions with you, and if you are just starting out, I would recommend trying to buy some of these portal scrolls so you can teleport back to town without having to run all the way back to town, depending on where you're going. With the Kobold quest, it's actually pretty easy to get to and from town because it's only 2 zones you have to go through, but there are times whenever you're going to go 4 or 5 zones away, and running back is very tedious. If you do find a Tome of Town Portals, or I want to say it's Tome of Town Portal or Tome of Portal or something like that, that gives you unlimited uses, which is actually very cool. The pawn shop normally has a lot of different items, but it doesn't always have items. So there are times whenever it's full of items and times when it just has a few things. So we're going to talk to him. He also is a banker as well. Let's see. So there's a lot of stuff in here that is very expensive. He normally carries a lot of weapons, magical items. There's Ruins of Isk. Okay, so... And sometimes you'll be able to find bags. Some of the magic bags reduce the weight of items that are in them, so I always recommend checking the pawn shop anytime you log in to play. And the pawn shop is actually where you want to sell everything that you get that's identified, because he'll give you the most money in this town versus anywhere else that I've seen that I've tried to sell stuff. So that's just another option. But yeah, so far we have done everything. If you die, you will come over to this place over here, and I believe that whenever you use the town portal, you'll come over here, but if you use the scroll of town portal, you'll appear over at the Playful Maiden. So when you die and you resurrect, you will come to this spot. You'll normally appear here at this return portal. And then as soon as you come outside, you'll know where you are, especially if you have your minimap open. You'll be like, oh, that's, you know, the keep, and then that's the exit. So just a few little helpful hints if you guys are looking into this. But I think I'm going to end this video just here. The next video, we're going to continue this and actually go and defeat the kobolds and see what else we can get taken care of, all right? So hope you guys, learned a little something. Hopefully you guys will enjoy this journey, and maybe we could play sometime. So you guys take care. Peace.